I bet you didn't expect to see an F4 track guide on my channel. Haven't done them for a few seasons, but here we go. Yes, F4 at Indy. So what I've managed to do is, because SFL has a few gaps in the week where I've redone the track, or I've done the track guides previously, I thought I would fill in the gaps for F4 this season. So this will be the new format of the track guide with a wet and dry, which is important because I think it's the open. One of them has a 38% chance of rain, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head, so that's bad. But anyway, one of them does have a chance of rain. So this will have a dry lap and a wet lap, so you've got something to go by. Unfortunately, all the older track guides only have the dry lap, so try and use some of the things that I tell you in this rain to use the other ones on the other. You get what I mean, basically. But yeah, this is Indianapolis. It is the road course. Apparently, iRacing really like Indianapolis this season. This is week 3, season 4. And week 1, Indianapolis was used. Week 2, Indianapolis was used. And now in week 3, Indianapolis has been used. And I think it's getting used somewhere else next week as well. So it's bloody everywhere. But yeah, this is the dry and this is the wet. Now, this in the wet was very, very interesting. In the dry, beautiful. Really, really looking forward to actually in the dry. In the wet, this seems to be like the smoothest tarmac in the history of the world, and therefore it's as slippery as anything in the wet. There's not really a rubbered line that I could find. It's still quite grippy everywhere, and this is the first time me driving the F4 in the wet, and it was quite nice. There just seemed to be a lack of grip altogether. So I'm kind of okay with it, to be honest. You see that I'm braking on the racing line there, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not locking up, it's not trying to unlive me, it's not trying to face backwards, it's not trying to go back to the pits and have a cup of tea. It's not that bad. Anyway, this is the on-screen settings that I was using. This goes by the official iRacing week that I'm following to try and get the session as closely as matched. Obviously, I fixed the weather to dry and raining, moderate rain, just so it stays consistent all the way through my 1 hour practice session that I do these track guides on. So yeah, that's the only thing that's different from the official ones. Otherwise, I think that's everything. Oh yeah, O-lap, B-lap, turn and replay file, all in my Discord. Let's crack on with the dry lap. Right then, yes, we're back in the Bandit Mobile. There is the F4, and we're at Indianapolis Road Circuit, which is actually really, really fun. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. The wet, not so much. Anyway, we are hugging this left-hand wall. We're technically going down the oval the wrong way, which is always interesting, always freaked me out, that did. But we're hunting for the braking marker, which we're using these lovely markers up here. And we're using that 4-1 that just disappears. Just we go under it, brake in a nice heavy straight line. Now, we want to get the rotation done early because we don't want to use too much track. I mean, do not hit that curb on the apex. It is massive. Try and stay mid-circuit because it really opens up this left-hander now. Loads of curb, a little bit of lift on the way through. And be careful of the tail end of this car. I was quite happy on this one. Use all of the curb here on the right-hand side. Let the car drift out nice and gently towards the left-hand side of the circuit to really open up turn 3. And then when we get to the curb over here, this is when we're starting to brake, sort of down the curb, down into third gear. Nice early turn in, little clip of the apex, and you can get on throttle quite early through here. Really nice corner to enjoy. Don't worry too much if you get really far left-hand side. You can go through this chicane here flat out. It's not a problem. And you can take a little bit of the second curb without too much issue. I avoid it just for smoothness and, you know, getting kicked in the nuts by the DD wheel. But anyway, we are going down this straight now. Good overtaking opportunity through here, particularly if you get a good exit at turn 3 or turn 4, I should say, actually looking at the map. And you'll be wigging through the chicane. Hunting for the braking zone, we're using the 3 marker all the way over there. Braking a nice heavy straight line. Get this car slowed down as quickly as possible. We need to compromise this turn, whatever number this is. I can't read it on the map at the minute. But compromise this one because we need to get all the way back over to the left-hand side to really open up this one. The longer we can keep full throttle through this corner, the better this will be. But again, we want to compromise this one. We want to stay as far left. You see I'm trying to over-rotate the car and the bum's stepping out a little bit. But stay far left. As soon as we get in, really chuck it in. Little cut of there. Be careful not to cut it too much. There is a slowdown. And look at me trying to fight with the grip to try and keep it on the track. So borderline getting a good exit out of there. It is a really, really fun corner if you get it right. And it also leads down here, which would be another overtaking opportunity of dive bomb central for this little weird triple chicane thing. 300 marker with braking and a straight line. Do not hit the wall. It's a bad day. And do not hit the apex curve again because it is the size of Mount Fuji. Use all of the track, but again, get it all the way over to the other side. And as we get over here, gently on the brakes now. Gently, gently, gently. We've really slowed it down and you want to focus on the exit. Slow in, fast out. Cut this corner. Don't cut it too early because you will get an off track, but cut it later and you seem to get away with it. Weird, I know. Use the curbing there. By the way, pit entry is off the right-hand side of that corner, by the way, if you do need pit entry in F4, which you might do. This corner is absolutely flat out. Don't even worry about it. Just try and keep nice and smooth and open up the steering because the car will accelerate fastest when it's in a straight line. So bear that in mind. But that is the lap of the dry. Done and dusted. Quite a quick lap around here. It really does fly by and it's taken a while to get down here. But that is it. Done and dusted. The wet now is another kettle of fish. Now, this wasn't too bad. It was just really, really low grip, which really did shock me. And you can break on the racing line, which wasn't too bad in certain areas because it opens up the corner quite nicely. 600-meter board. Look how gently we're braking. We're very, very gently, barely got above 50%, trying to get this car slowed down, using the gearbox as well. Same principle, turn it in nicely, trying to avoid the apex curb because it is massive, and try and stay middle of the circuit. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit slippery. Nice and gently, avoid the curves as best we can, and watch out for that bum trying to step out and face the other way. It did it in the dry, and it's going to do it in the wet, so bear that in mind. Crossing the rubber line here, you will see it. Look at this massive snap we get around here. Really, really shocking. Look at the counter steering on there. Trying to avoid that the best you can. But we want to get out to this outside curb here and brake nice and deep into the corner. All the way around the outside, you can get close to the curb. But again, look at the car twitching. It's getting near that rubber line. And I sort of cut back for a late apex because it gives us a lot straighter line through this chicane. Now, this chicane you are going to have to lift in the wet, but you can take the curve. The wider you take it, the more straight diagonal you can take between the two curves, which will benefit your lap time because you can stay on full throttle for longer. You can actually run a bit wider there as well. You can actually run quite far off. Do not stay out there because there is a slowdown, and I think there's an off track, so please bear that in mind. Middle of the circuit, I didn't want to brake anywhere near the curb, but you have to brake massively early, so you want to brake at the service road bit, I suppose you call it. Again, brake nice and gently, use the gears as best you can, get it slowed down before you start turning in. Again, avoid the apex curb because it's huge. Got a little bit of a wiggle there, so probably took too much entry speed into that, but again, try and get the car back over to the left hand side. But we're in the wet, so it's not too bad. Just surviving, keeping the car in a straight line is the priority here. Avoid the curb because it's dangerous and they're always slippery, and I'm still getting snaps of oversteer because I'm near the rubber line. And I do take this curb, which is not good because you can see the understeer getting in, but it's okay because it kind of puts us off the rubber line anyway for a nice grippy turn in. And then as we get to the curb, we do clip it a little bit, and you see the car doesn't like it at all, steps out and sort of drifts, a four-wheel drifts out to the side of the circuit. So again, be careful going around the corner. We need a good exit out of there because it is going to be an overtaking opportunity. Like it was in the dry, it's going to be very, very easy to lock the brakes into this corner and go sailing on. So please make sure you're careful. 300 marker way before it, like 3 or 4 car lengths before it. Again, we're braking, open up the corners as we can, get it really, really slowed down. Again, avoid the apex because it's huge, and don't worry about running too far wide. Just avoid the curb the best you can because all curbs are slippery. Last corner-ish because it's the main meaningful one, but again, nice and gently. There's pit entry, by the way, over there straight ahead of us now. And again, try and get a nice late apex. Avoid the curb because we're not in the dry. And look at the snap of oversteer, so be careful about facing the wrong way coming out there. Last corner, avoid the apex curb as best you can, but just look at the throttle inputs. It's nice and gentle, nice and easy. Just controlling the car, controlling the bum end. You see my steer inputs going input output, and then get to the rubber line, and we almost unalive ourselves. So be very careful when you're sort of on that flat bit and you're actually rejoining the oval. It is very, very slippery. I'm so glad I left that in there because a lot of people will get caught out by that. So bear that in mind when you are trying to get your best lap time. Otherwise, I hope this helped you out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love your YouTube stuff, and I'll catch you on the track.